to this town hall meeting on milk prices and our current dairy situation. I'm going to serve as your moderator today. I'm Corey Geiger, Associate Editor for Hortz Dairyman, and the immediate past president of the Wisconsin Holstein Association, who is sponsoring this forum today. Before we get going, I'd like to thank all the dairy producers who took time out of their busy schedules to come today, realizing that it is an outstanding cropping window that we haven't had for a while. We certainly have some issues getting corn and beans off right now, with mold and other issues like that. Later on, after we're going to introduce our speakers as they come up. We're going to ask that they make about a 10 to 12 minute presentation. And after that, we're going to open it up for questions. We're going to ask that there are actually questions. We don't want presentations from the floor. So keep your comments brief and then focus those questions to our panel. We are pleased today to have representatives from our Wisconsin senators. Representing Russ Feingold's office is Katie Crowley. Katie? She's not here yet. From Senator Herb Kohl's office, Kim Cates. Thank you. From Representative Steve Kagan's office up in the District 8, which is up based in the Green Bay area, we have Adam Orpinski. And his next door neighbor there, literally, representing Tom Petri, District 6, Tyler Orpagel. And from Ron Kine's district, District 3, in the Claus area, Carrie Jacqueline. She's probably on her way in. So with that, I want to set the stage. Anyone who gets milk check throughout this past year certainly understands that it's been a lot less than the previous years. This is a national situation. This is not a Wisconsin or upper Midwest situation. I actually, during lunch here, was sharing the numbers. I just got an email this morning from Moore, Stevens, Worth, Fraser, and Torbett, which is the second largest accounting firm in the West Coast, doing a lot of accounts for dairy producers. They're probably hurting more than we are right now. Here's some of the numbers for the first 6 months of the year from that region. Southern California, losing $511 a cow, or $4.73 a hundredweight. San Joaquin Valley, $6.47 a cow, $6.03 a hundredweight. Arizona, $4.37 a hundredweight, or $4.86 a cow. Their neighbors, New Mexico, aren't much better, $4.38, 1 penny difference, or $4.29 per cow. Idaho, $6.43 a hundredweight, or $677 a cow. Texas Panhandle, $5.06 a hundredweight, or $4.63 a cow. I have this PDF on my laptop, and after we're done with this forum today, if somebody would like, has a memory stick and wants to grab it, I can certainly download it. I'd be more than happy to do that. So without further ado, we're going to get started here. And our first presenter today is Lucas Sjostrom. He's the Government Relations Specialist with Holstein USA. And he's been spending a great deal of time on the Holstein USA's proposal that they've been working on, the Dairy Price Stabilization Program. And that was kind of the reason we put this forum together. We had a lot of our dairy producer board members from Wisconsin Holstein that really wanted to know more and talk about this situation. And we invited friends from throughout the Wisconsin dairy procurement, milk procurement industry to come and join us in this discussion. Lucas has spent quite a bit of time traveling to different co-ops and organizations presenting this plan, and I know he'll be at National Milk next week, and was just out in Washington, D.C. last week. So Lucas, without further ado, Lucas grew up on a dairy farm from Minnesota. So let's welcome Lucas.
Thanks a lot, Corey, and thanks to everybody for coming. As Corey said, it's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the time you've given me to present our plan. For a quick background, I'm sure most of you know, but I represent Holstein USA, and people still do not know who Holstein is, and even dairy farmers that we talk to. But I mean, we've been based in Brattleboro for the last 124 years. We're a national organization. I think most of the people in this room are probably well aware of our governing body, governed by dairy producers, and membership consisting of dairy farmers with all sides of earth from coast to coast. Obviously, our president and vice president serve 2-year terms, and directors serve 2- or 3-year terms on the board. Some of you are probably wondering how a dairy breed association got involved in milk markets. That's a good question. The answer is very simple. Our members asked us to. Those members at the grassroots level asked their Holstein Association to address the roller coaster ride and volatility of milk prices. As a result, the Holstein Association's Legislative Affairs Committee in late January made the following recommendation to the Board of Directors, and this is the quote. The Holstein Association USA Legislative Affairs Committee recognizes that cooperatives working together has enhanced the price to producers in the past, but in an effort to stabilize the peaks and the valleys of milk prices, the committee recommends to the Holstein Association USA Board of Directors that the Holstein Association lead an effort toward a price stabilization program for milk in the United States. So, with that recommendation unanimously approved by our Board of Directors, we move forward. And at our March board meeting, we had Dr. Robert Kropp from the University of Wisconsin at Madison join us at that meeting in Brattleboro. Now, while in Vermont, he heard firsthand from our board about their needs and their wishes to stabilize milk prices. Since that time, the association has developed this plan with good input from dairy farmers from coast to coast, along with Dr. Kropp's good counsel. This graph explains why our target is volatility. We had deregulation in the early 1980s. Deregulation did some really good things, but it started the cyclical pattern that we deal with today. In a typical commodity market, there's room for some volatility. You can have ups and downs and hedge against future losses. But we're not a typical commodity market. While we can forward contract milk, since it's perishable, there's no way to hang on to it for a few months until prices go up again. In economics, commodity market to work, you need to have many buyers and many sellers. Our cooperatives, like these gentlemen here, are essentially an extension of our dairy farmers, and they sell to the remaining few big players in the milk market. Our current market rules might work better if there were more end processors of the milk. This graph uses data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. As you can see, since that same deregulation, the price indices for farm milk price, processor milk price, and retail milk price have grown apart substantially compared to how it was in the past. While in most cases the dots still follow each other with their up and downs, you can see that in late 2008 we had retail prices up, processor prices up, but on-farm prices down. Even more interesting is why farm milk prices can continue to stay at the same levels of the 70s and 80s, while other prices continue to climb. The money is in the market, and we think our program can help recapture it. The Dairy Price Stabilization Program, or DPSP, is not a quota system. Unlike supply management programs in other countries, you can still produce as much milk as you choose, and there are no large barriers to growth. Ultimately, the program rewards producers for making good decisions for the betterment of their industry. Instead of financial incentives directing farmers to produce more milk all the time, the direction received at each farm will help the farmer decide, based on his goals, what he wants to do. Steve Larson, managing editor of Fords Dairyman, highlighted this issue in his August 10th editorial when he wrote about how Fords Dairyman Farm has added some cows and started 3 times milking in January in hopes of getting at least 10% more milk from their milking for 3 times. Permit me to quote a portion of his editorial. But this tale is about marketing, not management. The economics of the business dictated that we put stalls in the machine shed and try 3 times milking. If we had had some incentive, either a penalty or a premium, to ship the same amount of milk we did a year ago or less, we would gladly do it. We participated in the herd reduction program in the mid-1980s because it made business sense. We must not be the only ones who are approaching the current situation by making these kinds of changes. If we were, cow numbers and milk production would have been going down faster than they have been. Are we part of the problem, or a victim of a system that rewards higher production with little regard for price? You decide.